now I know where to point.
We made it. Casters, soon to be 6, made it to a live stream.
Well,
we were live for the whole silent thing.
we had a really good intro. It was amazing, and we had the overlay on. Sorry.
Of course we did. Right? Of course we
VRML
did.
cast, though. Let me tell you right now, if we're gonna start a VRML cast,
That is true. That is
absolute
accurate.
overlay.
I am not running the
brand.
production right now. I can promise you guys. This is not me.
You're on brand.
I blame Nightfire anyway, though.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Don't.
This
No.
is all Nightfire's fault, by the way.
Bullet.
So,
We don't. Someone says no, we're not live. And someone says we are live.
Who says we're not live?
I just saw it.
No, we're live now. I see it.
Are
Yeah,
we?
it's fine.
How
Yeah.
dare they?
Okay, well, I am tired now, so thank you for that. Let's just end it right here.
Woo, thanks for coming out, everybody. Good night.
Stop it, stop it.
Space flat aliens are real. Peace.
All right, this is okay. This is what happens after you guys, after we did OC6, and then, our production manager went and got married or some stupid excuse or I don't know, whatever. But he's back now and things are working. So this is Vivian with the Buzz from the Hive, and I am joined today by the VR Master League casters. They cast Onward, they cast Final Assault, they cast.
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, they're gonna
Echo
cast
Arena.
this later. We're gonna
For
watch
now.
the recap and all that good stuff. So let's introduce them. We have the lead caster, Nightfire, who
Cheers. Thank you very much.
that's a Nightfire with 2 E's, the Nightfire. We have Sleepy with 2 3's.
Hey, everybody.
He'll be more energetic. And Noman with a 4.
That's what this coffee is for.
Sláinte, folks.
TFH with the baby face. And
Face is 23
Triple
years
Nipple
old.
with overpromising. You got it?
What up?
Yeah, where is it, man? Is it
Yeah.
there?
No,
There?
all right. We'll get to that. We'll get to the
All the way down there?
Left
Did
cheek.
someone drop it?
It lacked.
We got time.
Well, before we get started, though, I just wanted to know, can you guys cast my game?
No.
Hold on. At everyone right now, wake up. Can
No.
you cast my game?
No.
Why not?
No.
We're gonna turn on slow mode for these.
Somebody's mom really likes them and they want to cast. Can they cast?
One league
But they're
caster
their
game
mom.
per
It's their
game.
mom.
5
They know
different
them.
things can Call me Fitz. I am not casting that game anymore.
Can they cast it? No? Okay.
Can't do it.
It's
Somebody
like-
want to cast the
I'm
Cheap
gonna-
Man Blaze game at the same time?
Yeah, that
Yes,
one sounds like a lot of fun to
exactly.
watch.
So what we're talking about is there is our favorite game. That's the one we're the common one between us, which is Onward, and we
Minecraft.
all have played or play currently for a team. And these guys are the ones that talk and tell us what's happening and what we're doing wrong and how fat we are. Oh my God, I'm just kidding. I didn't watch that one. They're the ones who keep us entertained. And on the Discord of 7,000 or so people, we do get the occasional request, right? Where, hey, can you cast this game? Can you cast this game? Can you cast this game? And no one
Occasional.
seems to want to respond, and I know why. Because it's annoying to get pinged
Now you
that many
know.
times. No, it's annoying for me. I don't care. I'm sure you guys are used to it, and you love the attention. So, but real quick though, like Nightfire, can you give us just an explanation, an overview of casters? Like, who are you? Like, how did we get to you? Let's hear it.
Yeah, I guess it started back when people were doing. Basically, Onward's been around since the very early days of VR. It was one of the first games to come out for the HTC Vive, and people have been playing it really since they've got into VR. It's oftentimes one of the first games people pick up. So it's been around for quite a while. And initially, it started off with a couple of people streaming their perspectives, gather those together, kind of mix-mash them into a scene, and then we would try and cast over that. It was very rudimentary, very early days. The success behind that kind of proved that it's a worthwhile thing to have a spectator cam. That got implemented into Onward, and we kind of started to run away with the VR Master League into what it is now, where we onboard new casters, we train them in how to cast, how to analyze the game footage, sort of understand what strategies are coming at them, we train how to run cameras so that they can cover the game footage properly, and then we carry this all into our other kind of like we've established something that I don't think's in any. It doesn't really exist in esports, and then that's like an in-house caster group for the league. You do see people on contract and stuff like that, but it's all community run. It's all people that are interested in being part of the that just like flying the camera around, watching games, and commentating on them. So that's kind of where we've expanded to.
Right. And you know, Nightfire, he's the, I'm not gonna say diva, even though he is. It's that he is the lead caster, so he is the one that you want to ping constantly in DM for those casts. But speaking of the community, I want to talk with Sleepy, because Sleepy is actually a mod, a league mod, and I think there's some confusion amongst players that, like, what is a league mod? What is, you know, like, who's for Onward? Who's the dev and VR Master League? So, you know, like, just from you as a league mod, if you can just kind of explain the difference between the important people.
Sure. I mean, the developers will always be just that, the developers, right? They're the ones creating this game for us. They're the ones who've given us essentially this platform to use to build an esports company with. So realistically, the VRML in general tries to shield the developers as best we can from taking flack from the players directly by, you know, kind of being that shield, that barrier between them, and being more of a liaison between what their competitive community wants and, you know, what their driving vision is. And then you have folks like Mr. Death, who is with the development company as their community manager, and I believe also a part of the dev team. You know, a lot of people go to him for league issues, and that's where, you know, there is some confusion, I believe. But he is not actually affiliated with the league. He does support us immensely as a member of Downpour, as does most of Downpour itself, if not all of the company. You know, they've been very supportive with us. But, you know, he has no say when it comes to league matters. You know, he takes place in the Discord when it comes to a matter of the overall Onward Discord, because, you know, that Discord that you're in is the Onward Discord. It is not the VRML Discord. That's actually a different Discord. So, and then of course the mods, we're there to try and keep things running smoothly and keep it as fair and as fun as we possibly can, without sacrificing, you know, too much.
Yeah, and everyone can see everyone's salary. We're a really open community. So just real quickly, if you could just tell us how much the mods make and how much we can expect to.
Yeah, I'm currently raking in a grand whopping $0,000 a year.
Oh wow, that's
Position.
a lot more than I thought. I thought. Wow.
Plus bonuses and benefits.
I thought people paid to be a mod because they just loved it so much. All right.
We sacrifice. We sacrifice.
Very thankful. It's a thankful job.
I mean,
I went and dangled on somebody in the comp lobby today, though.
Oh, I bet that felt good. So Sleepy
It did.
used to be on the Danglers, and I'm sure you know who the Danglers are because they are brought up in every single episode of this show. At all times, they are brought up very often. They are very popular. Sleepy used to be a member of Danglers, and you moved over to mod. How was that?
It was better than being on Danglers.
Well, I don't want to take up all these questions, so I'm going to try and keep this one short. I had to give up playing on the team to be a mod, but at the time I felt like we really needed somebody who was going to be dedicated to the league and really focus on it, because at the time things were still a little bit more loosely run. Like my very first thing, like when they asked on the application what you wanted to change, look at Trip going and changing scenes
Trip,
on us.
What the heck, man?
Boo! Boo! No.
Boo! Get that out of here.
But anyways, so I didn't really want to have to give it up, but at the same time, I was willing to do it for the sake of the league and the other players and stuff. So it's an easy call there, but I still want to get back and play again. It was nice to get in the lobbies today.
Real quick, who here is a team captain currently for this season?
Just kidding.
All right. Well, I mean, that's good. I mean, Nightfire, he does VR. I'll have you know. He sassed me once when I was just like, hey, when are you on VR? He's like, I do VR, mind you. I've been doing it for a long, long time. Anyway, he does play VR, but as you can see, there's 4 captains here who are currently playing in the season. And yet, we're really involved doing other things as well. No man, what do you think? What do you think it is about being captain or wanting to take charge in these communities? How's it for you?
Hey, Nava.
I don't know. It came about, I think, like a snowball, right? Like I jumped into VR kind of like as ooh, this is cool. I've never had this. I want to buy it. I want to try it. A couple weeks later, I was on a team for a game I bought a couple weeks ago. Fast forward 4 or 5 months, I'm a co-captain. Fast forward another 4 or 5 months, I'm a captain. And my interest kept growing as my involvement with the league and with getting to know all these gentlemen and ladies grew over time. And I just kind of couldn't get enough. I mean, at some point it becomes enough, but at that point you're oversubscribed, right?
Yes, exactly. You're invested.
But I mean, for me, it's always been like, it's something I love, I'm passionate about. I love playing. I love, obviously, my players, but I love almost every player in the league. I'm with everybody, you know. But I think it was a natural progression for me to get into the casting side of the house and to get into the league side of the house because I wanted to succeed. And for anybody who knows me in real life knows I don't shut up anyway, so why not put it on stream for 2 hours, entertain at least a couple of people with it. So it always just kind of made sense, right? It felt natural, and I've just followed what felt natural. And none of this is forced on me, really. It's all just been a choice of mine. So that's been kind of nice.
That. Yeah, I mean, I totally understand it. It's just snowballs. And speaking of snowballing, Trip is, for Trip and I, we started at the same time, and he actually like helped me a lot with. Yeah, shut up. And then with with the rookie boot
we
camp,
lost Sleepy.
Sleepy, go.
He'll come back. He'll come back. He's just changing his shirt.
Yeah, I'm still here. I had to go off camera for a second. Don't worry, guys. I'm fine.
And
my internet is
Trip,
okay. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh, already starting. Trip, you helped me learn the game. Then you became a mod on the Rookie Bootcamp Discord. Then you started helping me produce the Hive shows in Altspace, and then what else? Then you were like, oh,
I was your
caster.
captain.
Oh yeah, you were a captain of Cats and
Your
Hats.
captain.
Yeah, and then you became a caster and just like all these things, but I think you just did it like really fast all at once. So can you kind of speak to the involvement of, how people can be involved from all different angles?
Well, I don't really think we're exclusive. So like if you want to get involved, you can. Which I think is what happened to me. I was like, hey, I want to do that. It looks cool. And so I kept getting handed things, and people kept giving me promotions in Discords. And I was just like, I went from not playing VR regularly to I'm in like 6 days a week right now, either casting, training, practicing, playing, whatever. So yeah, I mean, just reach out. If you've got an interest in things, then we'll take you. I mean, that's how I got to become a caster, right? I was more of a techie, and I was trying to help build some crazy replay multicam system that we were talking about for Vivian's show.
Right.
And then I was like, well, I'll cast because I'd like to talk and I do it in real life. So I think we all have that as our tagline. We all like to talk, and so we figure, people will listen.
Yeah, I hear you. And TFH, you pull your weight the least around here, so. I'm sorry, but did you see his recap? Like,
where's that red card, Sleepy? Red card.
Second, I've been in the caster crew the second longest aside from Nightfire because I was brought in the reign of Tangled Muffin, if anyone remembers that.
How did you know my screen name? That was private.
No. But I didn't do anything back then, so it doesn't mean anything. But go ahead with your question now that you verbally, whatever.
Go on. You will.
Insert witty comeback here.
Yeah.
Or there, I should say.
Yep.
Just insert it in here because that's where it's all gone.
You didn't ask the man a question.
Yeah,
no, I was asking him about like, what are you doing with this season? And I mean, you're the captain this season, so I guess your responsibility is kind of like went up a little bit, but
Yeah, so I'm on the VRML team Riot, formerly Magnificent Bastards. Been with that since season 4 after a whole story with that. Yep, she's got it. Basically, our team captain kind of dipped on us, and he kind of threw me the role, which I was like, okay,
that's
cool.
interesting. What team did?
Yeah, he kind of joined someone's team here, but he joined another team in between there first, but that failed, so it's kind of indirect.
Right.
And so
freaking drama.
Yeah.
Is that drama? I don't know.
It's always drama. It's always popcorn.
It's men, Vivian.
Yeah, so I was kind of like, woke up one
I
day, and I was pinged in my Discord, and like, oh, I guess I'm the captain now.
You are the captain now.
I know how that feels.
Captain now.
Look at me.
I literally posted that GIF as the first thing in my rule. Is that I'm the captain now from whatever that movie was. And I kind of just taken it from there, kind of did my own thing. I've opened up our Discord to be a public Discord now. And so we kind of have our own community building now.
Yeah.
Kind of my goal is to get into silver division. I've set goals for myself and put together our roster, and I'm pretty happy with the team I have so far.
You have an excellent roster. We played you guys in a scrim or sometime this week, so.
You played us Monday.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry.
Sometime this week.
I can't remember who won. I wasn't playing.
You guys won.
Oh, okay, cool. Hey.
Yeah, you were casting.
All right. Yeah, I know. I was. I was very quiet because you can see I'm moving a little bit, but I've had a headache for going on 4 weeks now. So when I'm like that, it's gonna hurt me. But so of all of these guys, like you have to pick one. What are you gonna pick? Being captain, being a player, being a caster?
I think captain is kind of a burden that it's kind of a mixed burden because at one point you kind of have to deal with scheduling. And if anyone here loves scheduling, you are a masochist. It is not fun because then you have to figure out where 8 other people are lining up in their timeline, and then you have to figure out with 8 other people and lining up with their timeline. So that's not fun. But at the same time, you get to deal with like strategizing and copious amounts of micromanaging. And so it's kind of fun.
Why do I feel like Todd's looking directly at me?
I know, right?
Camera right now.
I know how to look at a camera.
And as I say the word camera, mine goes into like a conniption and resets everything I've worked so hard to build.
Yeah.
We do have a question from the stream here from Durfin. We all know who he is. He's a beloved guy in the lobby who kills all of us often. He wants to know, from point of view of the casters, we need a lot of people in Onward. So any ideas on like how are we promoting it, or what are you guys up to?
Yeah, I can TLDR this whole progression of our league for you. Basically, VRML has, I think after going to OC6 and talking to a lot of people there, our consensus is that the VR Master League really, our focus should always be communities. Oculus is literally selling headsets so fast, they're making them as fast as they can sell them. So selling headsets isn't an issue for them. The problem is having retention of player base. So they want to have people can play their game every week. And what the VRML offers is that exact thing. You come back, you sign up for our league, and you play every week. And so what we need to expand those communities. And so the path to growth within the VR Master League to stay community driven is to have Quest support come out and PSVR support come out. So when Quest support comes out for Echo Arena this year, that's going to be a very big influx of player base into the VR Master League. When PSVR support comes out for Final Arena, we're tapping into a market that's almost double the size of PC user base that we haven't even touched. Nobody's touched on the esports scene except for Firewall 0 Hour. And that's very popular. That league has, I think, 30 or 40 teams in it. And that's on the PSVR. And so we're going to be able to suddenly have these huge influxes of people that are aware of the VR Master League. It's getting so rad. Echo Arena has a huge advertisement for the VR Master League in the game. So when people load into their headsets, they're going to see, join VR Master League if you want to play this competitively. I think we're going in similar routes with other games too. And we're getting down into like having skit. Like it's just, there's so many cool things that people are working on for the VR Master League that's coming down into the future. It's like it's a super clear path of progression for us. Like we don't need to target outside people. We don't need to target people that don't play VR. That's not our demographic, and it never will be. It'll always be people that own headsets, because VR is incredibly hard to show off without playing it. And so people may like watching sport, which is good. That's obviously the drive, is we want everybody to think that it's cool to watch. But you're really not going to be involved on a daily basis unless you own the headset and have a potential of playing it. So that's like we're moving in a very good direction, and we just got to keep doing that. So in the case of Onward, Quest support is where we get a major influence in people.
Well, you mentioned OC6, which is Oculus Connect for anyone who isn't aware. It's a conference for developers, but a lot of different people from the community go, streamers and players. This year, there was a really good presence of people from the esports community, but there wasn't any esports.
Right.
So this year when you guys went, we all went except for TFH, who was being lazy. Again, what I said, he wasn't pulling his weight. That's what I said. Well, we were all there, but from the perspective of, last year when you guys were casting or you were playing, it was busy. To this year when you didn't have a game going on, what did you guys like realize, like, oh my gosh, I missed out on this, or this is a really cool thing I didn't think about, or how was that experience? I guess I want to ask.
I wouldn't say. Yeah, go ahead. You can.
Wait, I'm sorry. I was grabbing something to
I'll
drink.
I'll take it then. I wouldn't say that. I don't think that as a VR Master League we felt like we missed out on anything. I think if anything, it was. I would say Oculus felt like they missed out on something, because I think they realized what that esports scene brings. I mean, honestly, that convention center was pretty barren. It's quiet. Not a lot of chatter, not a lot of lines. I guess that's good, but there was.
Oh, there were lines, but that's because each experience was like 30 minutes apiece.
Right.
So every person in front of you was another half hour in your wait. So
I think the focus, obviously, for Oculus this year was not to try and push esports. I think maybe they had a sour taste in their mouth from previous experiences, and now that we were able to talk to them and we have this clear path of progression, I'm hoping next year we'll be able to have something there, but we'll see.
Yeah, but at the same time, the theme of this year's conference was social VR, AR, XR, all of that stuff. So to be super, centralized and spotlighting esports at a social themed conference isn't necessarily an immediate hand in hand thing, right? Like esports and competitiveness doesn't always tend to go with socializing and being friendly. Sometimes people get, as we all know, downright nasty with one another at times. So
in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way sometimes, but then at other times people don't get along in a good way, and that's not great. But that wasn't necessarily the theme of this year's show, so I understand why they didn't necessarily put a heavy focus on it. But yeah, we were asked a lot about it at the show. Basically anytime someone saw one of us in our VRML jersey, they were like, hey, where's the esports stuff? When's that going to happen? What's going on? Is there any sort of event? Like, sorry, not this year. Unfortunately, that was the decision that was made. They weren't going to do that this year. So, it is what it is. They still brought out the community and allowed us to get together with one another and hang out and have some fun and try some really cool new VR titles and new tech. So, overall, I still think it was a big win for the community, and the VRML made some great connections and some good partners in the deal, throughout the week. So, totally worth it in my book.
So, I would say like my first community experience is social VR, right? The Allspace community VR chat. So social VR is its own type of niche where it's people getting in and multiplayer, but engagement in different ways is not video games. Like talking or doing events. And it's a great community. It was cool. It's just that at some point people are like, if there's nothing to do or if I'm not developing, it gets boring and people cause drama and it gets, we move on. And I'm still
or they
a
just
part
leave.
of it. Yeah, they're a good community. But then I moved on. There's another community that I'm also a part of, which is streamers. I'm not the streamer. It just like it's really active people on Twitter or on YouTube. And just we kind of like collaborate in little ways so that make sure that we're not like just in a bubble of ourselves and kind of collaborate. And I think that's a really good community. Onward is also a cool community. It's not terribly big, right? It's like 400 if you include everyone. or so. And I mean, I guess that sounds big to you guys, but like compared to other esports
Well, yeah,
pancake
sure. If
games,
you
That's the
yeah.
VR
compare it
Master
to,
Leagues, though.
Yes.
The
Oh, yes,
Discord's
VR
like
Master
6,000
League
plus.
is huge.
Yeah.
Right. With just, Onward, which is I think the largest league next to Echo. Is it Echo? I don't know which one has more teams or what, but anyway, what I'm getting at is that like you were saying, like some people don't get along, which is natural. It happens. There's also
yeah,
like banter, and then there's like arguments, which
right.
I don't think, I know it happens, but I don't think it's as bad as some other communities. Like I would not call our community toxic, even though
No,
there are
no.
there's arguments and disagreements, stuff like that. I've yet to come to that part where I'm like, this is not toxic. It's not. It's just how people are sometimes. But
Passion.
yeah, it's one of those things. So like we're a close community. Like I have access to you guys. You have access to the players. We have access to the devs. And there's a lot of like, still a tight-knit community, but we want this to grow. So when it grows, we're going to be welcoming in a different crowd. Like how are you guys, have you talked about that? Have you like kind of prepared yourselves for what might happen? Or how do we keep the community kind of like, for the most part, chill, aside from the podcast?
I'm gonna take this one because
Yeah.
it goes well with my professional experience outside of VR. The problem with that kind of growth is you cannot predict a community's trajectory. You can't predict who is going to be okay with rules, who is going to be not okay with other rules. You'll never be able to predict who gets along with who. I think that the big thing for us and the way that we've been running our casting group and our moderation group and all the stuff we've been involved in the VRML has been putting people in positions that are equipped to handle what they're supposed to do. And people who are passionate about the community and the game and the league. I think it's always going to be about highlighting the people who do the good things and keeping tabs on the people who are not doing the great things, right? I think it's just going to be a matter of the community checking itself. That's what's great about the Onward Discord, for example. We do a really good job of checks and balances, right? You can look at almost any vote in the, let's say the sit room, for example, those of us who have access to it. A lot of those votes are split half and half. Like it feels like a nice and even distribution of people on both sides. And the discourse is sometimes extreme on both ends, but ultimately we find a middle ground. And I think no matter what we do, no matter how big we get, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same process, putting the right people in the right positions to make the right calls.
Yeah. I agree with you. I mean, I agree that we can't control it, but that's right. And it's one of those things that's like, yes, we want it to grow, but oh my gosh, I really like our community because we all know each other.
It was
we're welcoming though.
You're not even. I think it was better. I mean, it was
flipping hipster here.
It was better in the early days. It really was. Like it was even smaller. It was even small. So I think, yeah, like it was good back then, but the growth leads to much cooler opportunities. Like we have much more diversity in the league now. It's not also biased up in the top 5. I think growth's important if you want to keep your league expanding. I think, yeah, obviously we got to keep tabs on certain things like that to make sure that we don't let any outliers sort of ruin a fun thing that we have going. But I think that we are obviously conscious of trying to make a good, solid community. And with that in mind, I don't see us really straying from it.
Yeah. Good. Those are all good answers. I accept. I thought maybe you guys would be like, we're going to break away and do our own little thing.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So there are people watching. So I do want to acknowledge, we have Cami, who's actually a captain of a team in VRML for Pavlov. She is modding the conversation. We have Bulletproof, who is the production manager for us at the Hive and VRespawn. And they are kind of doing some of the back end stuff. So I want to say thank you to them. And there are some important questions here that Durafin has. But also, really quickly, I I want to say hi to Nava, who's out there. She's under like social VR. But she if you're at OC6, she's the one with the beautiful blonde hair. She's really cute, and she was interviewing everyone, making videos. She's all about the social scene. But as you see, she does not play Onward. I mean, she went in once, and I think we made her
gotta
throw up.
change that.
But she loves watching and supporting these different things that we do, and she'll jump on the cast and be like, hey, go callouts, which I think is really cool. So just for if you're new and you're watching, the sit room is the situation room. It's where the captains have a channel on Discord. And for those of you who maybe don't know what Discord is, it's what all of us have been doing when we ignore our work. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm kidding.
It's why we ignore our work.
We use Discord to do our shows, our talking, and kind of like relaying the rules and that kind of thing. So it's an open Discord, so you are welcome to join. It's a public link, so if someone wants to drop that in the chat, you're welcome to come in. There is a section that says League, but you are welcome to go in there and talk and ask questions about it as well. We have someone, Mike Dotson, says.
Pretty sure that's Big Mike.
Is it? We need incentives in response to his comment. I don't know what comment that is, but
I'll take that one.
Okay, yeah, let's hear it.
So I brought up this idea the other day about player buy-in, team buy-in, and personally, I think it's a good for how big the league is. I feel like a $5 buy-in per player per season is really not that much to ask for people that have VR already. That they've spent money and they enjoy playing. I feel like it's a good way just to get the community. Like, I don't know. Then you don't have people just joining because they can.
Money is a double-edged sword. I think what we realized, at least with VR League coming in and trying out their whole scene, is that it turns people to be very toxic. I think that's where you actually run into issues dealing with people that are, I would say, maybe a little bit overly focused on the money. It's all they can think about. It's all their attention is driven to. So they kind of ruin the spirit of a competitive, honest league, in my opinion. I think introducing like prizes is important, but I think it should be very VR centric. Obviously, that comes with landing more sponsors and finding more interest in the league. But I think you got to be cautious when you consider adding in prize money to a league like what we have here, where it's very community focused and community driven. It's a lot about, the fact of the matter is that if you get VR, you got a lot of 10-hour experiences. There's not a ton of stuff to sink your teeth into for more than that. And if you want that option and you want to play something competitively and you want to do it with a squad, that's what the league's for. It's for good, fun competition. That's why I joined when we started it. That's why we started it, was that you would have a place to consistently go to guarantee yourself solid, fun matches.
I agree.
Now, that's not to say I don't think cash is like a nice addition to have as a prize, but I think I think like hardware and stuff is probably better suited for.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. I just think that the money coming in that can be used by the VRML to do things like make prizes via whatever sponsor, or But I don't know. It makes it seem like there's a little more on the line, and I think that's what people have been wanting recently is like something driving them.
Well, that's because without money on the line, we all have problems justifying this time with our wives. Let's be honest, for real.
Vivian, do you have problem with me playing all the time?
I thought I was just your girlfriend. Did you propose to me? I didn't know this.
Well, apparently Poonander said I'm expecting a kid in the last VRespawn episode.
Whoa!
So
wow.
I don't know. It all rolled up really fast. Yes, apparently.
Just got to be Vivian. It automatically became hers. Thank you. Awesome camera technology. This
is actually quite a lively chat. We have Bobby in the house. Hey, Bobby. Bobby Carlton.
Hey, Bobby.
VR Scout.
I saw Bobby in here.
He is Sleepy's new best friend. He's always been my best friend. So he's great. So thank you for stopping by. And this is what I'm talking about is I think that we made a splash. I think you guys wore your VRML jerseys. We wore, our VRespawn, and we talked it up. And what I think people really like about the league is that you can be involved if you're a developer, if you are a caster, or if you want to do a show, if you want to do camera work, if you want to play, if you want to manage the social media of the people who play. There's so many different things that we can do within it. So and then also sponsors. You talked about our different sponsors that kind of like, give out prizes and give a sort of incentive. Although I think we really do play because we like everyone wants to, and I think I'm not gonna say anything about the money because I feel like people have different opinions about money and stuff. But
For sure.
I feel like if the big incentive was you get to go play at the LAN event, I think people would be like, all right, yeah, like I think that's a cool prize. So.
I played to beat Noman.
So one of the questions here, no, there's no link to the sit room unless you want to sign up and be a captain.
Yeah, start a team. Then you can have access to that room.
My favorite thing about that room, is that
Admiral Akbar is definitely not sitting right behind me. Just going.
Oh, I don't know. No, co-captains can read everything, but they can't comment. That's my favorite. Like. I like that feature. I think it's great.
You can watch.
Yeah. Like when they unleashed Pwnk, we're like, oh god,
know your place.
Message me, or anyone would message me.
Hey, casters can read and comment, but then they get yelled at.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
We should call them assistants to the captains.
That's why most casters become captains anyway, so they can do both.
True.
Yes, that's true. So let's see. So this was actually just brought up before our show today, and Prefontaine is asking it now. And again, I think we already touched on it, but this was something that I did ask in the beginning, and I don't know why, because I've been doing shows, so I know what goes into like a production. But the question is, like, what about having guests on as a caster during a cast, or like eye roll over there? I don't know. I mean,
no.
Shut down.
Better clarify. That's not the whole question, Nightfire.
We know the opinion and the why, and for the most part, I think Nightfire really explained a good portion of it. Is because the onboarding is, I mean, if you think about it, viewers, okay, if you think about it, is that a lot of people like the idea of being on this end of it because you have something to say, and that's really important for you that you have something to say, and it's valuable. But after you say it, doesn't end. Like, you have to have other things to say, and it's a part of responsibility. It's a show. It's getting your voice ready. It's a skill that you're learning. So it's not as easy as I have something to say, I'm going to put on a headset. But I'll let you guys speak to it. Like, if you have other opinions, like maybe if people came.
It goes back to answering the question of do you want money? Do you want prizes? Then we can't have random people come in and do casting, because we have to have full control of that. I have to be able to make sure that the person that I'm casting with fully understands what we're doing. We have to have them onboarded so that they're familiar with the structure and the format of our casts. It's there's a lot to it's not just us turning on this game, going into it and watching. That's not what it is. There's a lot more that surrounds it to make sure that it's a production that looks like it's 6 people when it's really only 2 people doing one thing. And so I understand that some people want to try their hand at casting, or they have something to say, get their voice into the front of the entire community, because the casts are very popular now. A lot of the people tune into them. But in terms of guest casts, like, the only value I see there is if we have somebody that has a significantly large quality that they want to then pull in to our cast, like someone like a prominent YouTuber, a prominent Twitch streamer. I'm open to trying to bring them in to help draw new eyes into the cast, but I'm not inclined. The reason that we onboard and we have applications is because it's a way of testing people's dedication. I don't want to bring somebody in that's not skilled, that doesn't know what they're doing, that doesn't know how to communicate well or talk or have a good mic. Like, we're testing all these things. There's so much that goes in to the back end of us making sure that a caster that we have on board is going to provide a good quality in representation of the VRML. So you are representing the VRML on that caster desk. I think it's a lot easier to forget if you're just there one time as a guest. I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind why we do what we do. I'm not just out here trying to be a dictator and run the casting community.
You just want to say dick.
Keyword dick.
Diva. No, I agree.
Different 4-letter D word.
You're really passionate, and I agree with you, especially after, like, you're right. It is a lot. You're not watching a game. The problem just that like it viewers also and communicating. Yes.
The problem that's also been added is that, and especially after OC6, like, the pressure is on a little bit. Like, there are eyes on VRML. Like, I actually found there were a lot of people that were like, oh, I know who VRML is, that I hadn't already talked to before. so it kind of surprised me, and there are a lot more eyes on us than there used to be from outside sources, and I feel like, especially with the casting team, anybody involved in the broadcast, we want to make sure that we ensure a solid standard being put out there. And like Nightfire said, and it might have sounded a little bit harsh the way Nightfire put it, but his intentions were good. He's right though. We don't want you to just kind of swing in for 2 hours every. It's not National Guard reserve duty. You don't just. It's not a couple weekends a month, 6 weeks a year type thing. Like, we need somebody who want to put in the time, because a lot of our guys and gals are putting in a lot of extra time outside of their normal jobs, their families, their practice time. In some cases, some of these casters are still on a team. So, that's why we have the application process. That's why we have the 3 cast scrim cast minimum. We want to make sure that, like Nightfire said, we test all your equipment and you and whatnot, but we also want to make sure that you have the willingness to put forth some extra effort in your life to help maintain the broadcast and the league.
From the other side of it, though, and I'm gonna, so this is all like sunshine and rainbows. From my point of view, if I'm gonna go real basic, our production is, like Nightfire said, it's 2 people most of the time, which means we don't have the level of a safety net where, like, if I bring some random person on and they say something uncouth, let's say, I have no way of stopping that. I can't stop I can kill my OBS stream, I guess. It's the best I can do. But it's also a question of quality control. Like, even if we do the vetting, a lot of people can get through our vetting process without, raising any flags, and then get on camera and do some crazy stuff. Yeah. So I think
then they get yelled at by me.
Yeah,
he yells at me all the time.
Yeah, exactly. It comes a lot from also, like, being a part of the community, building the personality, having people already know you. A lot of that comes into play. So bringing sort of random people on for little stints here and there, it would detract from the sort of style of casting that we're doing. If we did more think of like a news show, right? Like a VRespawn type show, maybe you could bring people on for little segments, but that's not what we're about. We're bringing you league matches. It's the NFL without the NFL. You know what I mean? And I think that's the other part of it.
And I think that I think Nava here, she wanted to say, like, well, bringing people in for interviews, like special guest things. We actually did start that, where we do post game interviews, and it's a new thing we're trying. There's also a person who is in the league and is a talk show host, and doesn't, not
Doesn't
only
ring a
for
bell.
esports. I'm kidding. Well, we do a show called The Buzz, which is this one right here.
I
And
wonder
we
who
are
that could be.
talking. We're talking
Is
a
that
lot
what the
about
show was?
the
That's
league.
what this is?
I thought we were on the
I thought
Hive.
this was our caster weekly
I
meeting.
thought this was
Dude.
Letterman. What? Are we in the
Going
wrong
home.
place?
I gotta talk to my
boy.
Sorry, guys. I gotta go. Bye.
Chaos, and we let it happen. See, this is what happens when I don't vet. I don't. Because my first season, I had a bunch of people guest host, Nava being one of them. Reality Check was a guest host. Nick Mitchell from FXG. So it was really cool, and I didn't vet them as much as I knew they knew what they were doing, because they were streamers and professionals. So so there's always a lot of opportunity for people who want to share their voice, especially VRespawn. We have the show, and if you want clips in, you just send in the clips of your games and your match write-ups that aren't in Dutch or random ramblings. TFH, we're gonna get you back.
I wonder who that could be.
But a part of it, I think, is also
TFH
taking
gonna get the red
taking
card.
initiative in how you want to be involved with that.
On the red card.
There was something else. Okay, so I actually was going to ask this. Nava was saying, like, how do you warm up your voice? Nightfire, he has been divaing around, being like, I have my voice, I gotta conserve, and which is actually true, because my voice, how it cracks a little bit last year for the Onward Rookie Bootcamp tournament, and I had shows like boom, boom, boom show. I talked through having like laryngitis. So I had no voice. So if you watch my interview with Nathan and Mike, Oasis, VR Oasis, I actually didn't have a voice. I had to push that out, and I've now ruined what beautiful voice I once had back when. So, how do you guys do your warm-ups? You guys, what do you do?
I kind of just do standard like vocal warm-ups. Like I practice projecting really loudly beforehand before I'm on like cast setting up and stuff like that. It's just kind of like basic stuff that you see like musicians do before shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually will go on Google right beforehand and will literally look up mouth exercise, like mouth warm-ups, like lips, teeth, tip of the tongue, that sort of stuff, and just repeat those. Like I've done it with Noman and Nightfire, I know, in the chat. And then I'll do, when we do sound checks, I'll do the different levels. I'll sit there with Noman and I'll talk to them like, yeah, this is just us chatting between the rounds. And then things are going to go off, things are going to happen, shots are popping off, things are going to, I give them both levels so that they can check and make sure that when that happens in the stream, and I get a little overexcited because I tend to do that, that they're in check for that. But yeah, that, and I try and make sure that I'm always, speaking from my chest, as they say, using my diaphragm to really push the projection rather than just yelling out louder. And I'm kind of blessed in the sense that my voice tends to project very naturally anyways. But I do try and warm up a little bit. And Nightfire would always sass me a little bit, but I think now he's starting to realize a little bit more of the importance of doing them.
I mean, I think, it's a really good natural progression of questions, and they're rather serious. I am going to ask you guys things about, like, your favorite plays, your favorite moments in the league, things that, like, made you laugh uncontrollably, myths that, you hear players spout out. But you can kind of get that going in your head, but let me ask you, you all have distinct voices. We know who's casting, especially.
Do we though? Because there's been a lot of miscommunication in the chats about who's casting.
Really?
Between me, Sleepy, and TFH, they apparently confused
nothing like
TFH. Sleepy's like, I sound nothing like you.
We both sound like him.
Probably sound like Sleepy, but if I speak really highly, like I'm really excited about something, I could sound like Trip.
Yeah, they confuse me and him, and they confuse you and him. It doesn't. I don't understand it.
I think that
connection in that tangent
that
way of connecting it, yes.
It takes a minute. I think
the transitive properties of connecting.
Also, we didn't talk about my warm up. Okay.
No one cares.
I think we're trying to get you to talk as little as possible.
I really don't have one. My whole life is like a Disney movie, so I'm just singing constantly.
And I can't tell, is Nightfire having a good time? He looks like he's having a terrible time. Nightfire, are you having fun?
I'm farming loot in Division 2 while you guys talk, so I'm listening.
Lols.
This is when he misses your cap. This is what he's doing.
This is when the overlay stays up. This is what he's doing.
This is why the overlay stays up. So, if you're wondering what the overlay is, and I invite you to come and watch the cast that we have coming up this week. As you see, they have spectate mode in game, which I think if you've seen other games, it's pretty cool. I'm sure there's like bugs here and there, but the way that it's set up or intended to be set up is really awesome. But these guys have transitions, they have like music and countdowns and intermission. It's really cool how they do it. But sometimes before the game starts, they forget to, cut to the game. And so that's kind of like a fun thing that happens in our community, and it happens, but it's pretty lighthearted. So when you hear people make those jokes, that's on Nightfire.
Like I said, we are 2 people doing a 6-person job. Like,
we're working on a fix. Meaning I'm working on a fix.
Noman's done with it. He is.
I got you back, all of the Onward community.
Noman's working on it, and Nightfire's selling it like hotcakes, boy. He's like, "Hey, you want a new overlay?
I actually was going somewhere with a question. I wanted to know, aside from you guys loving your own voice, whose other voice do you guys like?
Well, if I could butt in, I actually hate my own voice, believe it or not. Like, I could not listen to myself.
Okay, here's where we're like, oh, you have a nice
voice. But if I had to go with the voice that I can listen to normally, it'd be either between Nightfire or Noman. They got really smooth voices.
I don't like anyone's voice in particular, but I love the the Noman Sleepy combo is my favorite casts ever.
So Noman has 2 points, Nightfire has 1. We're keeping track here.
Well,
Are we picking from the league? Is my question, like, not just us, or are we picking in between
Yeah,
ourselves?
we got to choose between us.
Only casters.
Casters
yeah, that's actually a
only,
fair question.
And then we can move on to other voices that you like. Everyone knows that this is a hot topic.
We got to figure out who's the winner here. Who's got the most ASMR thing?
Yeah,
Like,
everyone
if-
vote in the
Cast
chat.
the league.
Whose
Yeah,
voice,
vote in chat. Whose
whose
voice do you like? the most?
And then also, I'm gonna
Dangerous.
ask, whose voice do you like in game that you're like they have a voice for casting. I can listen to them, even if they're not going to do it. We're not inviting them in to just randomly, seduce you, but you can go ahead and drop that in too. For me,
Tonight.
it is a different combination of actually the personalities. I love the Noman Sleepy combo. And it's not like I won't watch anyone else's because I also really like Xandria's voice. But I like your guys' combo, and I think it's because you guys have
We nerd
met
out on
frequently in
Yeah.
IRL and
Good
you
beds.
Yeah,
They slept together.
Right. I was
If
gonna
I
say
could butt in.
surfed on his couch.
Oh yeah.
And I think Nightfire. I like Nightfire with either Trip or TFH. I think that it's good because I think Nightfire does a really good job of leading, and you guys do well with complimenting him as well. So I like that.
Back in the day, Buxton Nightfire was my jam.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Like,
I
that's
forgot
the-
about Buxton.
Buxton.
That
Cast
guy.
those votes for him.
So yeah, that was gonna be my choice for favorite
Yeah.
voice.
But he
other
doesn't
than
cast
my own.
anymore.
And then
I know,
Nightfire
I'll
would
be
be
He'll
my
be back.
second secondary. And then as far as players in the league that have a great voice, I don't.
Killinger.
I'm not
Obviously, we want Killinger.
I'm not in the lobbies enough to really do. I want Swooty to cast. Like he's my smooth
Oh
talking
my
ASMR.
God.
Damn it! Why'd you take my answer, dude? Shut up. Fuck, that was my pick.
Because we're like the
Swooty-
same person, Noman. That's why you knew.
So
True. That's true.
if you watch the very first episode of where I do an interview like this, it's with the people who went to the finals last season, season 7. Swooty's on there. Everyone loves Swooty, and I think, well,
He's
people
such a
love his voice
sweetheart.
and his face. Okay, sure, that's your opinion.
I like.
But
Teg
I
is
will
hot.
say. I will say also, after playing a lot of Apex with Arsenic, Arsenic's actually got a pretty solid voice. He doesn't talk a lot, like especially in lobbies and stuff. You don't usually hear him, but he's got a really solid casting voice if he chose to do it.
Arsenic, from my experience, likes to sing. Actually,
yeah, I was gonna say
True.
I hear his
Yep.
singing.
Mantis is really good too.
Okay.
I really like.
Mantis has like a
I do like Mantis'
like
voice.
British accent kind of thing, kind of like.
Well, yeah, the accents get me to begin with, but he's got a good voice too.
Yeah, I do. Hi, Mantis. He just did a video for us at VRespawn, and it's great.
yeah,
If you don't know
Mantis is one of
Mantis,
those
he
who's
plays
real
for
bad.
Vikings, and if you've seen promo videos for Onward, they likely have come from Mantis or from Nintendo.
Yes.
They both are professionals and they do great videos. Mantis is really funny. I like his style, and I do like his voice as well. I think I'm going to pick for people from on the other side, so I mean, of the pond.
I
It's
just-
easy.
I just don't get to play enough to be in the lobbies to be listening to all the players' voices, especially like the newer guys. Because like I hear, for example, Gladiator from Rome has a pretty awesome voice, but
Yeah.
I've never really
Yeah.
heard it, and if I have, I don't remember hearing it. But it's because I don't have the opportunity to play as much or with as many people as I'd like to.
Although
But-
you
That's
did
the guy that
meet
was
him.
on in the middle of the day today.
Yeah, well, I have my reasons.
So
it's not just
I
the
want to
voice.
hear. Let's give some love to the teams. People love to hear their names shouted out, being mentioned. Which games? Like when you see a team is playing, you're like, oh man, I really want to pick up that cast, even if you could or couldn't. Like, are there any ones that just stick out that you're like, I want to cast that?
There's rarely a matchup that I'm like, nah, like it's pretty rare that I'm like, that's gonna be dumb. Like unless it's like, Globo versus whoever's at the bottom, because then you're like, it's not because you don't want to watch the individual teams. It's because the action is gonna be lopsided. You always want, as a caster, you want back and forth. You want tension. So it also is matching play styles, right? Like whose play style will go well with another's play style. If somebody's really, really slow and someone else is really, really slow, that can be tedious to cast, right? Because it's so hard to fill that time. Whereas when you have like two balanced teams or one fast, one slow,
Do you have a Bible around here anywhere?
you got to have the right mixture. So if I'm going to call out teams, I will say the most fun I've had casting has been probably SMC. Rome does a good job in their games. I love casting them. That they're very fun. And my third choice, if I had to pick, gun to my head, I would say, I'm gonna go. Wait, don't influence my choice. I'm gonna say it's probably going to be. No, it can't be Ember. It can't.
I like Ember.
I would say Blaze, but I can't do that either.
Why not?
No, I
You
would
also don't cast Blaze.
No,
much because
Riot's
you're usually
a pretty
Yeah.
good team.
Yeah.
Riot's a pretty good team to cast. You seem to cast them a lot.
I hate being casted.
Prove it. No, I would say most likely it would be Vikings this season, especially.
Yeah,
The
Vikings.
cast I've done with them
Oh, yeah.
has
I
been
love the
phenomenal.
Vikings. I love
Yeah.
them. I do.
100%.
They kind of popped up out of nowhere out of like a season 6, I think, and it's been consistently good ever since.
Yeah, no, I like their team. Like it's funny. We have like a fun little banter back and forth. Mantis again is on there. Just like Spoilty, Crozy. I like their team. Their engagement is pretty funny to me in Discord, because sometimes it's like Spoilty would be like, this is totally off topic, so I always say like, okay, he's super serious. But then once in a while they'll tag me and be like, this person just said there's no girls in the league. You schooled them on that. So I like them overall. I think they're generally friendly and good and interesting. I think that they've kind of, it seems like from the cast I've seen, kind of sped up the pace a little bit on some of those rounds that I thought, was expecting all the way down to the clock. Speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about the game. I'm gonna ask.
Wait! I want to hear everyone else's.
We gotta vote on our
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
just
wait,
ask
what?
people
We keep letting one person answer these
Yeah.
questions, and
Oh,
then
he
everyone
wants to
just
answer.
moving
All
on
right.
now.
All right, sorry. It's because you guys answer and then go on. So.
We're casters. We like to talk.
I've
signed up
for
I've
this.
asked 2 questions so far.
All right, Sleepy, go.
So my favorite teams to cast are just. I'm going to keep it simple. Any 2 very aggressive teams. Any 2 teams where if you throw them in a cardboard box, they're just going to pull out their knives and go at each other. Blaze Danglers, SMC Globo, SMC Danglers, SMC Blaze, G-Men Blaze. Any of those teams where it's just going to be
So the
Use your
the
words.
best
You're a
teams.
caster.
The master teams.
Sure, go.
Top teams. Got
Ember, Rome, and probably Danglers.
Okay.
it.
Nightfire, go.
Final assault.
He does like him some Final Assault though.
I do. No. I mean, I like those high-ranked squads. SMC, I think I have probably the most casted games for that team, and that's because I kind of understand their mentality a little bit. I don't know. I guess I don't really have a preference. It's like I'm just happy that the league has Bronze Series and know that I'm going to get a good matchup, or it'll be exciting in some way, shape, or form. They're going to be innovating somehow, trying something new, because they're dedicated to trying to get better. And I also obviously like watching the high tier. I don't really think about what teams I'm casting very much, honestly. It's just kind of like what's available. I'll be honest, I don't tend to gravitate towards EU matchups. Other than that, though.
Todd.
That's a hard question because usually I kind of just go with whatever's on my schedule, whatever I can fit in, and whatever I feel like is going to be a good matchup from what I know. That being said, I do find myself casting a lot of Animal House, and Lords of War are also a fun team to cast as well, which sadly I won't be casting this Thursday against Vivian's team, but it is what it is.
I won't be
we
there
kind of
either, so it's fine.
yeah, there you go. So Animal House, Blaze is fun to cast too. They get some cool stuff when Noman's not playing.
There are some
that
really
challenge?
good
you
moments.
know what the best team to cast is? Phoenix.
Oh, I hear Rodin's pretty entertaining too.
Yeah,
Now, if
yeah.
you guys are
Enclave,
interested in
Enclave.
being casters, you are welcome to sign up to a Cast Phoenix game. So you can
Yeah.
do that like right now.
Sure. Anytime.
Anytime.
Strogan's always on.
Okay,
So.
let's talk about the game. Okay. We've had some, controversies with rules, et cetera, et cetera. But you guys talk about this thing called caster vision. Like when you yell at us, because we don't hear you until we watch the cast. This obvious mistake that we made that we should have known. Which, by the way, having the lasers that show for the audience to see where the gun is or your weapon is like pointing at, it's been really good, I think. But tell me a little bit about the frustrations that you have as people who've played the game but are casting it.
I'm gonna let Noman and Trip handle this one first because they're the most active of the play other than TFH, who's walked away from his mic. So
TFH is done. He's so frustrated over the question. He doesn't even want to. I'll start. I guess. So, are you talking about frustration with game mechanics, or are you just talking about in general, like what is the difference when we're playing versus when we're casting, and how do we do that? Okay.
Either one, I guess, but really, like, just kind of the things that you see that you suddenly forget that you've played the game, and you're just kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, the kind of problem you have when you're casting is, I think no matter how much I've done this casting, I always forget the kind of pressure players are under. Because it's always relative pressure, right? It's not like they're going for the grand championship, but even when I play lower ranked teams that are below us in standings, I feel stress. I feel a level of duress that may not be, life or death, but it influences the way I make decisions. So I tend to be more critical of myself when I'm on casts, criticizing other people, because I try to remember, like, when you're in that person's point of view, you can make mistakes constantly. Like, if you're not careful, pretty much every second of every game round can be a mistake. So my frustration is when people get really, really upset at certain things that happen in the game. I think everybody tends to forget that when you're in that game, you're not really, you're not 100% focused on it, right? You're always stressed about something. So that's my biggest frustration in both doing casting and watching casting on top of it. Trip, what about you?
So personally for me, it's like watching people do things that, like, they know they shouldn't do, but they do it anyways, like re-peeking a corner or the lemming effect that we've seen in full force this season. I'm going to make a hot clip of just lemmings after lemmings after lemmings. Like, it's just things that, like, that you would want to think you wouldn't do in game. You probably will, but you want to think that you know better, and then you watch someone do it and you're just like, oh, come on.
So I have an interesting question for those of you who still more actively play, because I found myself doing it today when I started up a comp lobby. Like, I feel like having casted so many games now, I'm starting to kind of think about what I'm doing before I do it in game. Like, even though there's still, like, even if I'm still in a comp lobby, there's still, like, I was more thoughtful today on Downfall, for example, about, like, popping a smoke and going ahead and letting it plume out a little bit before I tried to make a push across this open thing. And I'm like, okay, I have 2 smokes and I'm having to pop this early, so maybe I should do a walking smoke. So I did a walking smoke and managed to make it across. And then when I got there, I laid the smoke out sideways so that my teammate could get across after me. Like, and it's stuff that I feel like before as a player, even when I was still playing at a fairly regular pace, I wasn't thinking about that sort of stuff as consciously. Now I feel like I'm doing it more consciously because I'm so busy criticizing everyone every week for not doing it.
I think that has more to do with the fact that you played for danglers and they don't have strats. You want to get across the road? Do it yourself. And run away.
I want to say,
Stumpy murdered his entire team. You can't tell me that there's any kind of strats there.
No.
So I was 1v1ing Galaxy from French Onward Union today when I first started this comp lobby.
Oh,
and
Galaxy.
by my rules, normally in a 1v1 lobby, when you're building up the lobby, you don't typically go for caps.
Yep.
Like normally we just go for the 1v1 kill, right? Well, this dude goes in and fucking caps on me. I'm like, oh, so we're playing like that. And we're on cargo, of course. This is the like comp lobby starter now. So I'm like, okay then,
bro.
my turn. So it's my turn to hit Marsoc. And what do? Go ahead and take that code, throw a few smokes, and right up the alley like a dangler would, and capped right on it. Capped right back.
Isn't that the best though?
I don't cap on anything less than a 3v3. It's just not fair.
Once he brought it into play, I'm like, okay,
No,
fair
I'm
game.
sorry,
If I know
but
I'm
a
defending
1v1
detective.
capping is pretty funny, in my opinion.
No, sure. I mean, as long as I know it's there, I'm fine with it.
It's what? It's rotten. What does it mean?
You got to set the ground rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're not like proud of it after, I think it's fine. You
Yeah,
know?
you didn't like brag about it or
There are
anything.
people-
I capped on a dangler. Woo!
Here's one particular one I was really proud
There
of.
are people I was like, you
You're
capped
like,
on me. It's like, yeah.
I capped.
It's
I
fine.
capped in a 1v1. It's like, that's cool.
So I just capped back on him. That's all.
Well, I mean, it's not like if they ran away and I capped, it's not really a thing. But if they are right on the objective and you capped quietly because it's a quiet map, they know there's only one of you, you know there's only one of them, and you still, kind of do that dick move. I've enjoyed it a few times.
I just like to yell out, "I'm capping, bro!
Sure.
I'm capping,
Flash.
bro!" and wait for them to
Maybe
come
this-
around.
So there is a question. I think this one's gonna have a lot of popular opinions. So if anyone just wants to volunteer on this one, this is actually from Bulletproof himself. And I'm going to ask just a portion of it. What kind of casting features would you like to see added that you think we are missing? Okay, I'm sorry. That
Okay,
that
I could
casual
put in a
games can
list.
benefit.
I could butt in immediately on that.
Now, mine's hella quick. Just make a good in-game scoreboard, yo. Just everything on it. Just make it simple and modular and allow us to change it. Mine is simple. I don't have anything else. And the VRML folks here know exactly
Use
why.
that caster screen, Noman. It's so great.
It's such a good screen.
We have to use an entire app, and I could show you really quick. We have to use an entire app in order to control all the stuff that you all see. So this is basically an overview of the control panel of all of the nice little features that
Page 1 of 5.
Yeah, page 1 of 5. These are all different things and features that we use on a daily. We use almost every single one of these buttons for your cast. But on the topic of the question now, which was like, what do we want to see? I actually want to hear I want to hear the walkie-talkies whenever I'm first personing someone, because whenever we first person someone, we only hear what the player themselves is saying. We don't hear what's going on over the radio. Now, as casters, we, at least in the VRML, I know ESL does something different, but we never listen to the tent conversations with their actual strategizing. But I would love to hear what code words people use, because some teams develop their own language for playing these maps in order to keep their strats secret. But I would love to just kind of be able to take snippets of that and be able to kind of show that to everyone.
You want to blast everybody's strats?
Yeah, exactly.
You can just watch our
Everyone's
streams.
gonna be
We never put a
fired before
card
the
up.
night's over.
Yeah.
Just real quick, for people who are watching in the chat, thank you for tuning in. I see a lot of people who actually don't play Onward, but just support us. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we want to invite you to come in and hang out in one of the casts to kind of hear more about it. That's what I would like to see in the cast more, is the explanation. Like, I know I've heard some of you guys explain different things several times, but it's always nice to kind of break up for a moment and just kind of
It's hard to
explain
do
a little bit more.
when you do 4 games a cast or 4 casts a week. It's hard to constantly go back and be like, hey, so this guy's reloading with his hand. You know what I mean? It's
Type in a code.
Yeah,
And I
I
think
know.
that Twitch
I'm
and
kind of
especially
with
because
that.
of how the VRML is geared, we are very focused on appealing to the community. I'm not really interested in grabbing somebody that doesn't know what our game is per se. I'm more interested in getting people that are like, oh, I know what Onward is. What's this? Oh, they do an esports scene. That's wild. And then you kind of watch and you learn strats from us commenting on them and stuff like
Our
that.
Twitch chat now does give some feedback, some information, right? Nightbot in its premiere.
Oh, yeah.
Nightbot the Nazi.
Stellar
As
premiere.
who's sassier, Nightbot or Nightfire?
Has
But
been
what I mean
quite
is,
intense.
is that while it appeals to the to the community, which I get, it makes sense, but we have gained people into the game who have never played it but have watched the cast. So in that sense, and also I think it's because for me, from my point of view, I really didn't know anything, and the more I look back and what I didn't know, it's like night and day. It's like it's really frustrating what I didn't know. And I was fine learning it. I think it takes a certain type of personality to try and go ahead and try and learn these things that are kind of like it's a steep learning curve. But that's what I would like to see. And so Bobby, thank you for subscribing. If you guys go ahead and hit like on this video, subscribe to the channel. We do this with with players as well. Did you guys see any of the other episodes?
Right below me.
Any other
like and subscribe.
Yep.
Other
I've been in all
teams
now.
that you kind of like now after the interview, or like kind of got insight from, or anything like that?
I've always liked Ember, but it was really cool kind of putting a face to the names.
Think I have time to watch videos?
We know you don't do anything.
You can just
It's
listen.
nice to be able to see a team outside of the competitive scene, right? Like anytime I'm meeting a team, most of the time, it's when I'm about to try to kick their ass. When they're gonna kick my ass, right? So it's kind of hard to be like, let's be best buds and I'm going to shoot you in the face. So it's nice to see them just bantering about random stuff. It reminds you that they are, regular humans who have other personalities outside of their competitive side.
Yeah.
So I like to watch all of them. I gain a respect for every team when I watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd agree. I've been listening to them on my commute home.
Yeah, because you really don't have to like watch per se.
Yeah.
It's nice to listen to.
I mean, if I'm at a light, I'll look down at the video, but otherwise just listening into the audio, just listening to what they have to say as people.
Don't you want to just see like their faces and then you can just listen? Hey. Which
Yeah,
team
I
do you
think
was
once I
hotter,
see the-
Fury or Mayhem? There's been a discussion. Pick one.
Mayhem.
Yes, you guys are guys. Huh?
I think this is the wrong
Mayhem.
sample group for that.
No, this is
I'm
perfect.
gonna say Mayhem, y'all. Represent.
For sure.
What are you representing?
Was it
Hi,
Mayhem?
Skirt.
I'll have to
Is
let
it-
Banana
it's probably
know.
just
Good
because of
friends with
James's
Eagle, I'm gonna say
accent.
Fury.
It is. It's that Kiwi accent.
Yeah, I would agree. So any funny moments? I'm gonna say because you guys briefly mentioned this. Animal House and Danglers just played. They are hilarious. They team killed each other, right? And then rezzed each other. Or no, they like downed
No,
each other.
it was
and
a
then
sacrifice to the onward gods.
They
via
did it several
Stumpy.
times, and it was really funny. And I think they could do that because they've already won the series. And I know that part. I'm sure like Nightfire would be like, stop messing around, try to be
That fire's
serious.
gonna have a stroke.
They were like 5 men up against poor Lipinski, and so they're still having fun, and Lipinski was having fun with it too. And that's really those little things where if it's not all the time, but because if it's all the time, it's not as fun. But when it does come organically, it is a lot of fun. So are there any moments that you guys can think of in your cast that you've watched or games that you've played that you're just like, that's why I'm part of this community?
The hugs that faked out Nightfire.
Oh, yeah.
Forget who it was. Was it Lords of War? And
I think it was Ember and Lords of War.
Yeah.
Low.
They rushed each other in Suburbia Center and then just hugged each other. It was great.
Personally, and I was actually on the other end this time I was playing, but me and Xandria were in a 2-story, and Noman was casting, and Xandria said some 4-letter words that Noman clearly didn't like, and so he kind of immediately panned that camera away.
Bye, Felicia.
Yeah, you did that against the Hand of Death, I think, with Mr. Jacob and Cargo, if I recall. You were like,
That's
language.
Mr. Jacob. He kind of... there's one rule in the casting thing that's kind of unwritten, but you don't FPV Mr. Jacob. You're gonna do some stuff that you probably don't want to put on cast.
Mr. Jacob?
And Steven.
Yep. I've got it's written down. I'm not allowed to follow
And
Steven.
Control.
Cleanest, not allowed to follow him around.
I'm pretty sure they're like, try not to follow Todd if you can.
There should be like a setting.
There's just no action around you, dude. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's got to be a setting for like creating a bubble
and he's
around
playing.
the trouble
He's
players.
not even
Hold
paying
on.
attention. He's like
Hold
playing
on.
and like, there's no
I need
action.
to-
You suck.
I need to take away all the color because I'm dead from that comment.
Oh.
Whoosh.
There needs to be a setting where the camera can't get close to certain players. Like we set it beforehand.
Yeah,
It's
it has like a bubble built
it
around
just
them.
bounces off. You know, they don't.
Like me the other day against Globochem, that was pretty entertaining. That's probably one of my favorite clips that I've got of myself.
Oh, we have a Kuoka.
My favorite clip in the entire league is Arsenic was trying to peek on this guy in Downfall Center House, but he has a dog in real life. And so apparently the dog just really wanted attention. It came up to, and then I'm going to swear on cast here, so y'all with kids, just beware. But he literally just at the top of his lungs yelled, "Fucking dog!" And
my clip has to be tied, and there's a little bit of nepotism here, but they're both hilarious. The first one is, I think it's like season 5, like one of the first. No, not the first, but probably like in our early days of Blaze casting, where I dropped my tablet in Downfall spawn and Not Ready thought it was his tablet and kept picking it up and trying to put it in his back. And it kept I did it like at least 7 times before he realized it was tablet. It is the best clip that's ever happened. And then my favorite one, and actually I'm pretty sure this is still the case on Master League 1, it's the highest viewed clip of all time is Prefontaine failing to cap for like a solid minute and a half on Downfall against Legionnaires.
Verify this.
Yeah,
that one I repeat constantly. I send that to our team over and over.
The highest viewed clips are something from Viper.
It's funny when people, you can like the good thing about those kind of clips is like it's when the person who has a good sense of humor about it. Like I know like Kurozy has made fun of himself with the long cap against beginners. Probably one of my favorites, first person, I don't know if it was a cast, but with Panko team killed 3 times. I mean, that's my favorite one.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
He's like, oh my god, I did it again. Like,
his mood just goes from like killing it to dead inside.
Yeah. Like, oh my
that's
god.
such a great video. Honest, oh man, that's so great. I have 2 really great moments that I remember. One is the time I broke Buxton on cast during the Legionnaires G-Men game where Legionnaires got the man laid out 3 members of Legionnaires, and for some reason I just thought it was hilarious, so I just cracked up, and Buxton had no idea what was going on or why I was dying laughing, but he just started laughing. We had to completely mute ourselves on the stream because we were laughing so hard. Oh, it was fantastic. And then the other one is a Nightfire when he gets a little sassy. So, and it was we were talking about like how they play like silly little mini games sometimes when the match is over, right? Stumpy will team kill Plenus, or somebody will play a little less serious. Well, I remember a particular G-Men Blaze game.
Oh yeah.
Where they decided to play a round or 2 with
Nightfire
only.
Yeah.
And Nightfire was not having it. He's like, nope, I'm not casting. I'm not moving the I'll move the camera, but I'm not saying anything. You just take it from here. I'm like, okay, I got it. So I just called the action on it.
That was very entertaining.
I love Nightfire's sass though. It's great. I have one of him when we first collaborated on the Hive, of him yelling at my developer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, I get it from Nightfire's perspective, but also like as a captain of my team, if I was watching the stream of my team playing and they just did some dumb crap like playing with pistols, I'd be like, what the hell is happening? What are they doing? How do you play like this?
Not just the pistols. It was also the downing and then rezzing and then just a
I think it was valid though, because it was a technical issue that they were not able to play at full strength, so like it wouldn't have been fun anyways. Gotta inject some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are approaching a long talk, which is great because there's 5 of you. I just also wanted to point out the people who were talking about wanting to cast and wanting to be guest casts. They during this stream said, "No, let's go play in a lobby." So I guess they're not going to read all the rules on how to cast.
See, there you go. That's all I got.
Exactly
That's what I'm here for. Find the people that are like, hey, I'll dedicate my life to casting, and then you're like, okay, give me 3 scrims, and they're like,
Yeah.
And it's like,
no time for that.
What did you?
Yes, I agree. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to our mods, Cammy, who she's totally gonna come in and play for Onward Girls Night. We do have some kind of in the works. It's not out yet, but there's 3 in my mind of different charity events that we want to do with streamers, with other people in VR who would like to come in and use Onward with the casters, and and just to bring a certain awareness to different charities and different parts of the community, the VR community. So those are things that are coming up that if you're interested in getting involved, I mean, aside from playing, there is a lot of things that you could do. Reach out to these guys, and personally, I want to say thank you because you guys are awesome. I've met all of you guys, and Todd smells. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, look at Todd. Look at his face. Look how adorable he is. He's just you guys are all adorable. Pinch your cheeks. But thank you so much. First of all, Noman, who I messaged randomly, was like, "Is that your girlfriend? Get her to play. Force her." He's like, I guess I'll try and see what I can do. Or just
very aggressive.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was aggressive.
No, not Vivian.
I was. Yes. And that's the only time you'll see me aggressive. Otherwise, I'm just sitting in spawn, wondering why everything's flying out of my body. But thank you, and Nightfire for just getting us involved with the post interviews and onboarding people, and his sass. TFH, for keeping us, bringing levity to all of the cast and just the room and everything. So it's really cool. And Trip, you do everything. I mean, I work with you at VRespawn too, you're. I hate to say this, but you're really talented. Everyone here is really talented, but Trip, we squeeze his skills a little bit. That's the only thing we can squeeze. So just give it to him now. He needs it. But any last words for people from a caster? This is your chance. Any last words to our community?
Stop pinging me.
Yeah, you get 1 caster ping per day.
Not 3.
Use it wisely.
Demanding an answer. No one is that special that you can ping all
place.
of us publicly.
I play the 49th place team. Please cast me.
Yes. Please, and then pinging us 3 times and saying, I need an answer. No, nobody owes you a specific answer. Anyway, sorry. Anyone else? That's more encouraging.
I know I'm very sassy towards guest casters, but if you are interested in casting, we do obviously accept. We're very open. I'm not. I don't really turn down people that give me the bare minimum. So if you do 3 scrims, you put the effort in, then we will bring you in and help train you and become a better caster. But I got to see the bare minimum effort put in first before you come in.
Yeah. I'm going to piggyback on that and just say, if you're interested in it, or if you've done it in the past, you want to do it again. I had one of the old casters reach out to me and talk about refreshing his repertoire and getting the casting deck set up and all that stuff. But if you're interested in learning why you may not have been accepted, if you have already applied, or if you just want to know what can you do better, give us examples, you can talk to really any one of us, and I'm sure we'll be happy to give you pointers and stuff. We don't want to turn people away, but we are looking to do quality things, right? We don't want to half-ass anything. We want to whole ass the VRML.
We appreciate that ultimately.
Give us the opportunity to help you, is what I'm saying. But we'll try.
Sleepy?
And if you message me about wondering why you didn't make it into it, I'm just going to say that you sucked.
Look at him laughing.
Coming from the guy who pulls the least weight.
Yeah, we've already established the
That's
weight
like
that
more
you
of
don't
an
pull.
insult, bro.
Yeah, don't go to TFH for pointers. Period. Whether you want good ones or not.
Just don't go to me. I got enough on my plate, man.
Just have fun. I mean, we're all playing this game to enjoy ourselves. I know I have a ton of fun playing. I love the guys I play with. I love casting. I love watching you guys play. Just enjoy yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a game, y'all.
Yeah, it is a game. You're right. Have fun. Sleepy?
No. I just want to thank everyone for continuing to stick with the RML and really help us push this thing into becoming what it has already. And I look forward to seeing what we can do with more of your help going forward. I mean, like Nightfire talked about, we have a lot of stuff going on. We just started up Echo VRML and whatnot, and we've been working closely with Ready at Dawn and stuff like that. So we're excited to see what the future of VRML holds, and we hope that you all stick around with us through that journey. But I think that's about all I have.
Great. I'll echo that. Yes, join in. You see, we have the Hive. It's a VR production, VRespawn, VRML casters, players. This is something that includes everybody, anybody with any talents or any desire to do it. I mean, this is the place to be. These are great people, and I'm just thrilled to be able to call them my friends. Yes, I'm going to call you that. I'm going to call you my friends. So thank you for that. Thank you, GG guys. Thank you so much for all the casts that you've done on behalf of the community. This was a lot of fun. I hope I can get you guys back on, and let's kind of keep the good vibes going. Let's
I think
derail the popcorn.
But before we actually sign off, I think we should all just do our sign-offs. Like the ones that we podcast.
Yes.
Jesus.
And I want you guys to write one for me. What's your sign-off, TFH?
All your ideas.
Normally, it's like since I normally co-cast, I would let the person do it, and then I'd be like, I'm your host from another coast. TFH.
Next.
I don't have a sign-off. It's just thanking the viewers.
I'd like to thank our sponsors, VR Cover and ProTube VR.
Head over to VRespawn.com.
Yeah.
Follow us on
and
Twitter, Discord, and all the things.
You guys should check out, if you haven't seen it, the F Reality guys. They all wore the VRespawn jerseys that we got them. They tried to introduce themselves as esports players, and it was really funny. So go ahead and check that
Yeah,
one
no,
out.
I saw that video. That was great.
Yeah, it's really funny.
It makes I need to ship them out now, VRML jerseys as well. Make sure we get them on another cast.
Hey, Sleepy, it's okay to come out in full color now.
All right, guys, thank you so much for this. Look forward to talking with you guys again, and have a good night, everyone.
Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Don't stop. Put your